Hello and welcome to today's walk and talk from the beautiful and centuries old village of Godstone in Surrey. I'm starting here by the green. I'm going to do a loop around the green up towards a couple of sites that I'll point out from recent-ish memory, and I'm going to go over towards the Bay Pond area, Churchtown, do a little go around the triangle to pick out some detail there, and then back here. And without further ado, let's get on our way. Right by the car park here, which is a 3-hour limit on the car park. We've got a sign here that gives you a lot of history to consume, and we're going to tease out some of that detail as we get on our way. Now we've got the White Harts. I'll go into a bit more detail about that one slightly later on in the walk. Lovely old sign over there, Knights, Butchers and Poulterers. I'm going to be using some of the references from a Bourne Society walk that was put together about 26 years ago. And it is a very large green here. On the map it actually says recreation ground, which it is. It's used for different activities, sports, and they have a lovely fete here in August, bank holiday. And here we've got the lovely pond, which used to be, and we're talking a couple of centuries ago maybe, but it used to be where you would go from the edge into the water so that you could take your horses in for a drink, and to get the iron connected to the wood, so the wood was swell connect to the iron to make sure there's a good fit of your cart wheels or wagon wheels. Dairy cottage there. So it's visually wonderful around here. A complete mix. The Godstone Club. Fabulous coffee served here, it says on the sign just to the right there. So there's extra parking here as well, which I didn't realise at first. I've just gone in the first bit. So this scout symbol there, so I'm assuming that's what's related to that. Here we've got a sign on the door there. Lovely hall. About half and half between the leaves on the trees and on the ground. Another couple of weeks, I expect they'll all be down. Ladies there playing wool or petanque or whatever the right name for it is. Over here we've got the bowls club. Bowls and tennis. Now coming up to the edge of the green, there's a school immediately to the left, and Ivy Mill is just up there. I'm not going to do that one today. I'll talk a bit later about some of the other things that are reachable but on foot. That's a fantastic job he's doing. I admire good hedges and walls. Well done, mate. Great job. I will cross to the footpath here. Beautiful grand houses there. I think I went to a party in a house up here once. I mean, we're talking 40 plus years ago, but you just remember things, don't you? Possibly the one up on the end here. I know some of my school friends have caught up with me on this channel, which is brilliant. Maybe they were there too. So as you can see from this space, ideal for a fete. So the donkey derby and the stalls all around, and local Oxted silver band playing. More wonderful properties here. I don't think we had a party and a dentist, but it's a dental centre there. This is the A25, so in that direction it goes towards Bletchingley. That is on the list to cover. Again, lovely identity, lovely style to these properties. Carving detail on there, really quite something. And the chimneys are beautifully designed and made to stand the test of time. Firewood chopped there and ready to go. Hare and hounds, I remember drinking in here a couple of times. It's not until you get on foot that you really appreciate this. Wonderful mix. Plants holding on there, and I can't quite read if there's any inscription up there. I believe there may be, but I can't quite see it. English listed building, Bankside. And a little connecting building there, wooden. I probably passed these so many times. Only when you dedicate some time to it that you actually see the detail. Lovely little place there. Witch window. Pharmacy. So yeah, this was the old road, and then they did a bypass for the A22. It helps out, no doubt, if you lived here, just quieten things down a bit. Now, even though we had the Hare and Hounds around the corner, on an old 1890s map, there's another pub in this general direction. I'm not sure if the building has been repurposed over the years, and it wasn't in a 1950s, 60s map, but it was in the turn of the last century. So if anyone knows, answers in the comments. It may have been up here a bit more, where Farrell's is. We've got the garage there, local garage. And there's a reason why I'm going along this relatively new part of town, to highlight something which many of us may remember, perhaps fondly. And that's the site of the old Godstone bus garage. So A25 east down that way. Really nice road actually, the A25. Gets to similar places to the M25, but slightly more calmly. So where we've got the apartments directly ahead, that was the location of the old bus garage until about 1990, early 90s certainly. That's on the side of the building. I can see it says 1993. That suggests it was fitting in with that kind of time frame. And the identity, the look of it was very similar to what we had up at Chelsham. And then next to it, not immediately next to it, but just slightly over the road. So there's some new housing in the middle of the picture there. And that was the location of the old Surrey Hounds pub, which I think stood until about the mid-1990s. And then, yeah, pulled down to enable that development for housing there. So yeah, just two little things to point out, for reference, location. We carry on directly up the road. That takes us to the big roundabout where you can join the M25 should you so wish. So that was that. Let's head back. So even in these early stages of the walk, we've seen a lot, haven't we? A lot from the architecture perspective, but very, very easy on the eye. Wonderful history to this village. A mix of old and new, and maybe either well renovated or new to look like old. Row there, 1820. Well, it says number 22, Old Forge Cottage. And just up here we'll be turning off towards Churchtown. very pretty. The path I want to take is actually straight, but you have to kind of go round a chicane or something to get to it. Stunning colours. Don't upset the cat. Hello. I can't help you. Oh, you're up. There we go. Rider's Way. And we pick up the footpath sign again. So far, a very dry autumn 2024. It was such a wet winter and spring earlier this year. It's quite nice to sort of extend the comfortable walking season a bit more. Now, through there, you're going to have to trust me because there's little to see at the moment. That is Bay Pond. We will see that much more clearly after we've looped round from Churchtown, so worry not, but it is there and it will feature. The original Bourne Society walk from 1998 covers much more of the outskirts of Godstone, but there is still a lot to see there. It's worth maybe either doing that whole walk or picking and choosing some of it. But just to give you an idea of what you can see when you go on that trip out of town, as it were, well, you can cross a ford, you can visit the Pack House Cottage, which has a connection to Gracie Fields, you can see the milestone, you can see the Enterdent, and get to climb the hill beyond that, which is really quite something. And at the top of that, you get rewarded with a visit to some anti-tank blocks that were set up. Don't know the full and detailed history of them, but they are there. And then you can also look at Ivy Mill, which I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot to see. And the footpath map of Surrey shows you obviously all the details of where you can and can't go. This particular walk is in my usual OS Maps routing, and the link to that is in the description below. So all in all, lots to see in this neck of the woods. Now, a little bit of a hill climb, and then we take a right down to Churchtown. Admire the beautiful colours. Yeah, I'm giving it about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5, and they'll all be down, I think. It's a lovely sight, isn't it? So a nice straightforward walk from the village to this area. Distant sound of some power machinery being used. Again, such beautiful architecture. So this is St Nicholas Church. So I'll turn to the notes from the Bourne Society leaflet, again linked below. So it says at the end of the footpath is St Nicholas's Church. We've come a slightly different way. Rebuilt in 1872-3 by Sir George Gilbert Scott, together with the new mock Tudor almshouses on your right. And the chapel of the almshouses is open to the public, and an interesting story of its origin is told within. that was designed for Mrs. Mabel Hunt of Wanham House, Godstone. I seem to remember the Wanham House Hotel, another pub visited in earlier years, and it was in memory of her only daughter, Mabel Fanny Hunt, who died suddenly at the early age of 16 years. It really is something. You know, there's beauty in the centre of Godstone as it is, but well worth the walk past the pond. And again, we'll see a bit more of the beauty of that on the way back, but how stunning. And we've got more properties up here. We've got Potter's Cottage there, Church End. There's 1854 here, which is the headmaster's house. It's the 11th today, and there have been services held. So the War Memorial. It's actually a slightly better view of some of the property here. And there's a dedication inside here to the Hoare family. Actually on both sides, two dedications. Wow, look at those colours. A stunning sky today. A lot of mole activity in these parts. The next short walk, it's a kind of there and back, a bit like I did towards the bus garage site, is down to the Glebe Pond, and then we'll be coming back on ourselves, taking the Bay Pond after that. A couple of ponds in short order. This is the old Glebe Pond, known as a stew pond, and it was for supply of fish. So very peaceful, although I've disturbed some birds behind me. So yeah, this is the Glebe Pond. Just a very short walk from the church. Nice bit of ironwork there for the bridge. I would say watch your footing if you come in here in the winter months, because it's probably a bit slippery on this path. But you can see the proximity to St Nicholas Church. Perfect sky today. Really special. So this is probably the main route that people would use. It's a well constructed path, but you can obviously do a loop. You can go up the way I went, take in the church, and back this way, or vice versa. Very little wind today, otherwise we'd probably get a nice little show of all the leaves tumbling down, but the odd one drops. They're probably trying to make me get my prediction wrong. The Bay Pond. So this is beautiful, and again not far away from the centre of the village. It's looked after by the Surrey Wildlife Trust. Miss E.J. Lindley gave it to the village in 1965. 17 acres of farmland and 6.5 acres of water and alder carr. and it was the Trust's second educational reserve. Originally dug in 1611 as a reserve water supply for the Evelyn's gunpowder mill, Lee Mill, which is downstream from here. And it's now a site of special scientific interest. Private fishing for members only. Calming just to stop and watch it, isn't it? Whilst we've lost a little bit of the blue sky to the clouds, it's still very beautiful. A little bit of information there about the wildlife: kingfisher, mallards, carp, red-eared terrapin, grey heron, moorhen, Canada geese and goslings, and then some other information here. References to the gunpowder mill. Probably not super easy to read it on here, but I'm sure I can find a link or some other reference point, and I'll put that in the description below. Sound of rushing water behind me. A cascade of water down there, all connected with the pond up here, I assume. Lovely. And more amazing colours. The youth centre there. Cafe Connect. So that's the side of the White Hart. And this is Godstone Village Hall. Again, Bourne Society reference. This was once the brew house of the inn and was given to the village in 1965 by Miss E.J. Lindley for use as a village hall. And that's the same lady that gave the pond to Surrey Wildlife Trust. Miss E.J. Lindley, thank you very much. It's the White Hart Inn, and this was an old coaching inn. Probably easier to cross over and point it out. Dates from around 1500, and where we see just where my finger is there, that's the old entrance, the old coaching entrance, and it's still got the sort of paving stones there that the horses used to go in on. So I'm just going to quickly go along, taking in Knights and Coughlan's now. I think it says established 1591 on there, so wow. There we go. And we've got the Chestnuts. Lovely, lovely row of cottages there. Now this is something I wasn't aware of. So we've got two here. This was the Coach and Horses. There, now boarded up. Not sure for how long that's been like that. And this is the bell, circa 1393. It looks like it's been closed a while. Answers in the comments. Very sad that it has. Restaurant, hotel and lounge bar. Hotel and reception. But yeah, I mean, even the boarding, that OSB board on there looks quite old. Very sad, but it is a sign of the times. And if you've ever taken your kids to Godstone Farm, you would have gone along this road, because it's just up here and turn right. Luncheons and teas, it says there. It's probably just a bit of everything nowadays, as pubs have to be. You can charge your EV there. So yes, you would enter Godstone from the south and see originally the bell and the coach house. I called that the coach and horses earlier, didn't I? So the final leg, as we come back on ourselves, this is where we started. And I'm just going to walk around the one-way system triangle to make sure I haven't missed anything. And then we will be done. Whenever doing these, you have to sort of pick and choose what you're going to include and not include, otherwise it'll end up being about 2 hours long and perhaps difficult to hold the interest for that period. I mean, I hope it wouldn't be, but you know what I mean. So I always encourage comments and also suggestions. You know, if you feel there should be a part 2, then I'm up for that. Just give me the details where you think would be worth exploring and I'll schedule it for another day. I like to make these things kind of joint, participative. I cross back over because I realised you can't really see it in enough detail when you're right on top of it. So Acton Cottages there, and then Chestnut Cottage. But look at the styling of that building, of those buildings. Actually 2 there, but in one. You can easily whiz past them around your one-way system, but stop and take it in, really quite something. There's a little cut through there which I didn't realise. Looking back on those wonderful buildings, because I'm going to cross over here. South view. Blossoms, brunch and coffee. And we've got the bus shelter and loos there. And that's where we kind of early part of the walk, just walked up the top level there. I'm aiming for full coverage. Then at least I won't miss anything visually, but possibly miss some stories. Look at that, another cut through, double cut through. You live and learn. And it's only really by getting out on foot that you actually do live and learn. And if you can't actually get here yourself, then hopefully this is your virtual tour. That's what I hope it to be. That's where I cut through to Churchtown. We've got Godstone Place over there, which is pretty stunning. Lovely shutters on the windows there. I know I didn't use a zebra crossing, but I'm okay. Wonderful. Weatherboarded place there. Bit smoky. And then we've got Godstone Village Stores and the Emporium. Emporium, Antiques and Curios. Worth coming in, having a browse in there. Forge Cottage again, another Forge Cottage, another Forge reference. It's one of the key businesses in any town and village, once upon a time. The old parish hall, which is part of Rayner's estate agents. And then we've got a post office, Godstone News. And another angle of the White Hart. There's a 1941 film made that was uploaded to YouTube. I'll put a reference in, but it's Canadian troops billeted in Surrey. And it's got a watermark on it and a time counter, but you can still pick out a lot of Godstone in there from 1941. It's a lovely little watch, about 6 minutes long. So yet another link that will go in the video description below. A final look at the wonderful Godstone Green, Godstone Village Green. Well, thank you for joining me on a wonderful walk around this beautiful village of Godstone. I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please hit like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit subscribe, and also consider joining so that you can become part of the community that I'm trying to create here on my channel. Any suggestions for future videos in the area, just put them in the comments. But in the meantime, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.